First of all, just thank you for joining. Today's session is being recorded and we are going to be posting today's webinar onto the website for those that are interested but couldn't make today's session. The main purpose of today, we've got our chair, Sean Duggan, who will introduce himself shortly, and one of our governors, public governor for West Sussex, Rob Jackson, is to give a bit of an overview really around the role of a governor. You've joined this webinar which makes me know that you know we've got vacancies. We've got an election campaign that opened this week to give a bit more detail about the role and responsibilities, but mainly to open up to a bit of a Q&A to offer an opportunity to ask questions both of Rob and Sean and myself, and we'll ask Rob to give some reflections around his time as a governor and how that's felt. So without any further delay, I will hand over to Sean to just welcome us.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. A very warm welcome to the webinar. I think it's a great idea to kickstart our election campaign. We would love, we like the idea of you expressing an interest now in becoming a governor, and we'd love you to pursue it, which is part of the reason why we're having this. I'm chair of Sussex Partnership Foundation Trust, which means I chair the board, I manage non-executive directors. I also chair the Council of Governors. And I'm a mental health nurse by background. I have about 45 years experience in the NHS, all mental health, and extremely proud and honoured to be chair of an organisation as good as Sussex Partnership Trust. We have got considerable challenges, not least the financial squeeze from government, which will continue. We've already had it for the last couple of years, and that's set to continue, but we have a good track record of innovation, research and development, transforming services and providing good quality services. We are rated good by the Care Quality Commission. For me, Adam will tell you about the role and everything, but I just think we love the fact we've got a group of governors. Rob will tell you what it's like being one shortly. But for me, it's to have the connections with local communities, local authority, carers groups, service user groups, and staff groups. We cannot run our services in a high quality way without our stakeholders and our partners, but the people we serve, because we're here to serve the population of Sussex, people who've got a mental health problem that includes their families, and we've got to connect. We cannot do it ourselves. We have to connect, and we've got to have good relationships with people, with groups of governors. Now you'll hear about the role shortly, but for me, you tell us what is going on, you tell us your concerns, and you pass a view as to the design and the way we're running our services, which is very important to me. It's well led. The organisation is well led by a chief executive called Jane, who is also a mental health nurse by background. And as you can imagine, we have leaders in the area of finance and peoples, and also corporate governance and things like that. But I think I'll pause there. As you see in the slide, you governors come from service users, carers, member of the staff, or a public member, and you have collectively have very important responsibilities, which Adam's and roles, which Adam will tell you about shortly. So I'll pause there and happy to take questions a little later. Do I pass back to you, Adam?
Yeah, please. Thanks, Sean. So for those that aren't familiar with the role, and hopefully you would have seen our booklet that we published about becoming a governor, which does have more detail. It's as Sean described, it's a really key mechanism by which the trust is accountable to local people, and that's born out of our constituencies where we have governors who represent our staff, governors who are patients or have used our services in the last 5 years. We have governors who are carers, members of the public, but also key partners. And we have governors at the moment from the likes of the YMCA and Mind, and our local authorities, and we're looking at the moment to establish a young governor from a local voluntary sector partner. It's a really important link, our council, to the board. It's the way that our members, of which we have in the region of 7,000 members as a trust, it's the way that they feed into the organisation and support us in setting our priorities for the year, but also holding the board to account through the non-executive directors. And as Sean said, they represent the views of our members and our public, and that is critical to our governance as a foundation trust. So why be a governor? I think, I've personally been the governor for the organisation. I was a staff governor some years back. I know of staff that are governors at other neighbouring NHS trusts. I think there's an opportunity to really influence the strategic direction of an organisation, and as Sean set out, there's a level of accountability, but there's also something about working in partnership with the board in setting the priorities for the organisation for that year. It's about representing the voice of patients. We've had governors who have been very vocal in the local community. I recall a governor we had in the public who ran the Mental Health Awareness Week in Worthing for many years, and many of our governors do a lot of work both with the organisation through the council, but also out in their local communities. It's also about an opportunity for developing new skills, and many of our governors have gained experience of working in a leadership role and a greater understanding of healthcare policy, and many of our governors go on to do other things. And one of the things that we will talk about as part of people's induction is that this is an opportunity for you to also get involved in other things that the trust are doing, such as our Experts by Experience program. And one of our governors at the moment is being very critical, very central to our new hospital build that we're doing in East Sussex. So there are lots of opportunities outside of just the formalities of the council meetings. And Rob's here, and I was going to ask Rob at this point to sort of give some reflections, but there's some reflections here from Mel, one of our service user governors, and she, I think, at the end of her statement here, just says it's about you are both wanted and needed. You're not wanting and needing, and actually, I think she's often talked about being the eyes and ears of the organisation and being able to feed back openly and transparently to the board through the council, but also being given that opportunity to listen and hear what people are saying about the services we provide within her local community. And Mel has been one of our long-standing governors. Rob, I thought at this point perhaps it'd be good just to get some reflections from you about your role as a public governor for West Sussex, and perhaps a little bit of background about yourself for those on the webinar, and then I'll go into a bit more detail about the role. Or you just on mute, Rob? Rob, can you hear me? You're just on mute, Rob.
Yeah, he's still on mute. Oh, it flashed then.
It did come off for a bit second there, Rob.
But while Rob gets
Rob,
off mute, why don't you carry on about the role?
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
We'll come back to Rob in a second. So, who can be a governor? So to be a governor, you have to be a member of the organisation, and we can support you in becoming a member if you're interested and you aren't already one. You must be over the age of 16. But it's, I guess, really important to recognise that there is no formal qualification required. We will support you as a governor through both a local induction at the organisation, but also through an induction with our key partner NHS providers in understanding, what the role is and what it entails. There is some areas there are some areas where there are ineligibility criteria but that's not captured in my slides. But within our booklet, I have listed out some of the things that may not make you eligible for standing as a governor. And I guess these are this slide here for me is really important. And we did some reflections with our council in the last few months about the skills and qualities, but also the commitment of the role. So we are looking for governors that have got that critical thinking and commitment, that have got really good communication skills. They're really passionate about improving local health services and specifically learning disability, mental health and neurodevelopmental services across Sussex, but also that they're willing to work as a team. And the council as individuals has no statutory power, but as a council they do, as a collective. And whilst you have a lead governor, Sarah Payne, and a deputy lead, it's the power of the total council that allows them to fulfil their statutory responsibilities. And those responsibilities, Sean touched on them a bit, and they are quite significant. They are about helping appoint the trust chair and non-exec directors. Sean himself and the other more recent NEDs have been appointed by the council. They approve the appointment of the chief exec, and they review our annual accounts and reports. But they also make sure that the views of patients and carers and staff are publicly heard, and our council meets in public 4 times a year. They also hold the board to account on the delivery of safe, high quality care, and they get that through reports from our board committees and our non-exec directors. And they also approve major decisions. And in light of the significant challenges and changes on the horizon around the NHS, they are involved in decisions around significant transactions like mergers and changes in service provisions. They also agree changes to the trust constitution and long-term plans. I'll finish my slides and I'll come to you, Rob. I'm hoping you're available in a second. But the commitment, I guess, is one of the questions that's come up at the council before about what level of commitment is there. So I guess, like any voluntary role, Rob, I think, can't hear us. With any voluntary role, it is very much what the individuals are able to make of the time. We have 4 council meetings a year. They're held in person at Portland House, but there are opportunities for people to also attend virtually if they're unable to make it onto site, given that we hold a relatively large geographical area of Brighton, East Sussex and West Sussex. Governors are elected for 3 years, and they can be re-elected for a total of 9 years in total. We do expect that governors are doing sort of 1 to 2 days a month of constituency engagement, and it's really important that when governors come to the council that they are representing the views of their constituency and not bringing their personal interests or experience in, but representing the whole of the West Sussex public area, for example, in Rob's case. And there is a commitment that there are papers and there are papers for the council which need interpreting and reading and to support you in being able to make informed decisions as a council. And that might feel quite overwhelming. There's quite a lot there, and if you've not been a governor before and you're not familiar with the NHS governance, but what I want to kind of be really open about is that we are here as an organisation to support you, but you're also a collective council to support each other. We provide trust induction as part of the role. We will offer support and training throughout your term of office, whether that be externally provided through NHS providers or through online webinars. There's national conferences for governors to share their experience. We also provide a dedicated support function through our corporate governance team, and our lead and deputy lead governor, Sarah Payne and Catherine Eastland, are also, a voice to support the council where they have concerns that they feel they need to raise. So a bit on terms of the next steps. If you're interested and this is a role that you'd like to consider, our elections opened on the 3rd of June and they run until the 19th of June. There's a period in that period is for people to request and to submit their nomination form. There's a period then whilst we assess those applications, and the notice of poll will be issued on the 4th of July. And that notice of poll will then run for around 3 weeks, and those results will then be published on the 30th of July. The first Council of Governors meeting that you'd be then eligible to attend would be on the 11th of August, and we are going to be setting up a council induction that falls between those two dates. So expectation is people will be informed whether they've been successful in their application or not on the 30th, and we will advise and inform you of the date of their induction that, as I say, will fall between the 30th of July and the 11th of August.